Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, whatever time zone you're in. I hope that you are having a great start or a great end to your day. My name is Kaya Slater. I have been here in the Spiritual Growth Forum a few times now. So this will be, I think, the fourth time. So thank you, Spiritual Growth Forum, for having me back. It is always a pleasure to share with this incredible audience. Today, I am going to be sharing with you all, I don't think I need that light, with you all about a very passionate teaching of mine. So I am a transformational holistic health coach, energy healer, nutritionist, counselor, and yoga master, master of energetics, soul guide. I've been in service to humanity from the spiritual, mental, physical, emotional realms for over 26 years now. And my mission is to create as much harmony in my own life so that I can resonate that harmony out to others in my service. My mission is to facilitate as many women and men, but mostly women, that's how it's kind of flowed, as I possibly can to live the best possible lives that they can. I believe that we all have a highest timeline and a highest frequency and a highest potential that we have the capacity to connect to. And of course, there are also lower frequencies, lower potentials, and different paths that may not be so fruitful, joyful, prosperous, abundant, and so on. So I believe that if we spend time cultivating our energetics and we have various rituals and practice and movement and exercise and mindset practices and emotional release techniques and spiritual connection practices, that we can cultivate our lives to be at that highest frequency, and we can live our best possible lives and be a conduit for your soul in this existence to carry you through this amazing, prosperous, abundant, blissful, joyful life that you are all destined to have. However, the physical and the emotional and the mental body often get in the way of that. We want to have this soaring, soulful existence where we are in our alignment, we are in flow with the universe, we are really embracing the gift of life. But it gets hard sometimes because of our mental, physical, and emotional realms and worlds. Things that have happened before, trauma that is existing in the body, depending on your belief system, past life negativity and harm that has been carried over, learned behaviors, damage to the cells of the body, blockages and imbalances in the energy systems and channels of the body. The list goes on. It basically gets really hard for us to stay in flow. And what I want to talk to you about today is something that is really powerful, fundamental principle that humans can learn to really assist them in living their highest timeline and living in flow with the universe. So I'm going to talk to you today about the blame triangle or the drama triangle. My talk today, staying out of the triangle and exploring the dynamics of the rescuer, the persecutor, and the victim. Okay, so rescuer, persecutor, victim, they are archetypes. Now, they are archetypes that have many smaller archetypes within them. So they're the big roles, if you like. And when we look at archetypal patterns, human beings all have 4 archetypal patterns that we all share. Every single human being has the rescuer, persecutor, victim, and prostitute archetypes. When I say the word prostitute, you might jump to all sorts of different conclusions. Prostitute means the ability to sell oneself or to sell oneself short or to do something for money. That's what it means. That's a simplified way of looking at it. The other archetypal roles, the rescuer, the persecutor, and victim, are 3 of the most detrimental energetics to human beings in their life. These 3 forces are so powerful within the energetics of a human being that many humans will live their whole life not even knowing, not even being aware that they are completely, continuously disempowered by one, two, or sometimes three of these archetypal roles. Now, we have some very, very, very amazing teachers over many years who have worked with this triangle. And it's been called the blame triangle, the drama triangle. It's used in psychology. It's used in many different spiritual models and energetic models and mental body models. And it's extremely useful. This triangle has these three corners, and we have at each corner persecutor, rescuer, victim. These three corners. This is a triangle that we want to stay out of as human beings. We don't want to be in the dynamic of any of those behaviors, the rescuer, the persecutor, or the victim. Triangles over here, the empowered person is over here. Now, we're going to look at these energies at the three corners of these triangles in a little bit more detail. I'm going to really share my expression of this work. This is something that I use in my model of working through energetic restructuring to really assist people in recognizing their patterns and learning how to step out of them and to entertain new ways of living. Now, this triangle, the rescuer, persecutor, victim triangle, it is a dynamic of relationships that keeps us stuck across time and space. I like to call it the triangle of disempowerment. When we are in this triangle, in our relationships and in our life and the way we live and the way we express, we are always disempowered and we are always losing energy. When we are out of this triangle over here, empowered, living our own life, dancing to the beat of our own drum, listening to our own rhythm, saying yes to what's right for us and no to what isn't, we are empowered beings. When we are over here, we are disempowered because we are not listening to the voice of our soul, and we are following patterns of behavior that are leaving us depleted, detrimental patterns of behavior that are causing us harm and stripping us of our life force. Each one of these corners is a representation of energy that is out of balance. Okay, so let's look at them. Victim, rescuer, persecutor. Firstly, the victim archetype. So the victim archetype is an archetypal role where they live in a consciousness called to-me consciousness. They believe that everything is happening to them. They blame the world for everything. The victim will never take responsibility for their own behaviors, patterns, existence. They always want to blame everyone and everything else. The victim thrives on often being treated like a victim, because then the victim doesn't need to step up and do their own work, and they have a distorted perception that by being the victim, they might get everything done for them. Now, there's many different expressions of the victim. I'm really having to simplify in this talk because of only having a certain amount of time. I could talk to you on this subject all day. But the victim really will not step up. They want the world to believe that, oh, poor me. Why is this happening to me? Why is life so hard? Why can't I ever find the right relationship? And, oh, no, I'm not going to bother doing that again because it goes wrong every time. So the victim is stuck in belief systems that really keep them limited and away from expansion because they use excuses and scenarios that are not true or that are based in some kind of previous situation that may or may have not happened, or some kind of future projection of something that is created and fabricated. And they live in this existence of the world is happening to me. I am not in control of my own existence, right? The rescuer archetype. The rescuer archetype is the archetype that fuels themselves on rescuing others. The rescuer archetype does everything for everyone else. Again, there's so many dynamics of this, so I'm trying to really simplify it. The rescuer wants to do everything for everyone else, look after everyone else, take care of everyone else, fix everyone else, and make sure everyone else is okay, everything else is okay, but they rarely take care of themselves. The rescuer archetype has a tendency to be fueled, especially within their self-esteem chamber, that when they do something good for someone else, it gives them a temporary boost of self-esteem. And that temporary boost of self-esteem gives them a false sense of perception that they are worthy, right? So the rescuer is a big one, because many rescuers believe they're doing really great things for everyone and everything. But if we're not bringing back the energy that we're giving out to ourselves, then we will be depleted. So if we are rescuing everyone else, but we don't do anything for ourselves, we will be depleted. If we're looking after others and fixing others and rescuing others because we want that temporary boost of self-esteem, that means we haven't built self-sufficient self-esteem within ourselves, which is a big imbalance. The rescuer often wants to put on their superhero cape and make everything okay for everyone else. It is really, really complex with the rescuer, because it can come from that place of love. But the problem is that true love is actually both ways. When we move from love into compassion, we expand love outwardly and inwardly. So a rescuer often loves everyone else, takes care of everybody else, looks after everyone else, but they don't bring them back to themselves. So the rescuer will get depleted very, very quickly. Now, the persecutor. Now, the persecutor lives in a space of actively blaming the world. So the victim is, oh, it's always happening to me. Oh, poor me. Oh. Whereas the persecutor is, you're doing this, you're doing that. Why is everything happening this way? I want it this way. The persecutor is attacking. The persecutor is demanding and attacking, and is not compassionate in their speech, because what they want to do is control and manipulate situations to give them the outcome that they want. And they use an assertive nature often to demand and to persecute and perpetrate people and trap them. And they manipulate their power to get what they want. Often the perpetrator and the persecutor, it's the same thing. Some people will say the word perpetrator, some persecutor. Think of it as the same thing. Often they want to outwardly attack because they don't want to take responsibility for what's going on for them. They want to dominate. All right. So the persecutor can be passive persecutory. So it's more of a silent or quiet persecutory, often passive aggressive, or they can be outwardly angry and demanding and outspoken. There's many different expressions again. And because of the time limit, I have to limit it with the information that I'm giving. But that should give you a good idea. Rescuer, persecutor, victim. These three dynamics or archetypal patterns, or three roles, which is a really nice, easy way to look at them, are extremely detrimental and extremely harmful if we are in any of them. Why? Because if we are in any of them, we are already out of balance. That is not an empowering way for a human to behave in any of those spaces. And also, if we're in any of those corners, you can guarantee we're trying to pull someone else into the triangle with us, because it is impossible to be in the triangle alone. We need to have people in the triangle with us so that we can act out these behaviors. The victim needs to pull the rescuer in so the rescuer can look after them. The rescuer needs to pull in the persecutor so that they can have that engagement of energy between them, and the persecutor needs the rescuer because they want to have some kind of control over someone that is easy to dominate. The victim needs the persecutor because any attention is better than no attention. And the victim will often get attention of the persecutor that is harmful, but it's better than the no attention that they really, really fear. These dynamics are designed to bring in other energies. If I play victim, I want a rescuer. If I play rescuer, I want a victim. If I play persecutor, I want a victim or a rescuer, and so on and so on and so on. If we go into this triangle alone, it's not possible because we can't bring anyone in to interact with us in it. So we have to get really savvy and aware of not being in the triangle. And if we are in the triangle, being aware enough to get out of it. And if we are in the triangle, knowing the energetics associated means that we will be disempowering others by bringing them in this triangle with us, and vice versa. So let's look at the victim, right? The victim, let me just really highlight this. People do not choose to be dominant in these archetypal behaviors. As I mentioned, humans share 4 archetypes. We share prostitute, rescuer, persecutor, victim. We all then have other personal archetypes that really reflect us, maybe the queen or the warrior or, the jester and so on. With these 4, we share them, so we all have the tendency for them. And human design and evolving away from that means we learn that it's there, we recognize what the patterns that we're dominant with, and what patterns actually suck us in, and then we move away from them with a conscious choice and with techniques and practice and support, with whatever we choose to do to help ourselves to work through these issues. Because if we choose to stay in them, then we can guarantee we're going to live this very depleted existence. Now, let me make this clear. People do not choose to do this in their life. They don't wake up and go, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to become a victim. Or, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to become a rescuer. That's going to be a really good role for me. Or I know I'm going to be a persecutor and attack everyone. They are led there by various forces. So we may have learned these behaviors from our parents, from our teachers, from the people around us. We may have inherited these behaviors genetically, ancestrally, or through past lives, carried them over. We may have had massive trauma or significant trauma, an energetic play where the systems of the body have been slightly damaged. There's imbalance and an emotional trauma and mental disturbance that has created pathways that are of a lower frequency, where we have then decided or needed or been pushed to or been forced to or had no choice sometimes move into some of these behaviors because we don't have any guidance of how not to or how to do anything else. So from a therapist practitioner perspective, we must have compassion for people who are in these roles. And for me personally, my role is to teach people how to get out of them, not to jump into the triangle myself because I don't agree with how they're behaving. Sipping my herbal tea. So we have to have compassion that there is a reason that someone ends up there. There's a reason that they end up in that frequency. And what then happens, unfortunately, if there's a trauma and something happens bad to a person, then they are labeled a victim or treated like a victim. They often believe they are a victim. And we use that victim in Western society. We use the word in Western society. Police use it, and it's used in crimes, and it's used when something has happened to someone, and it's a word that people use. So it's a known energy. And so people, when they believe they're a victim, they're very disempowered because it may have been said that they are one, but also their neural pathways begin to wire into the belief system that they are. So then they start to behave like one. And the trauma can be so bad, or the impact can be so bad, that they don't know how to then climb out of that, because what happens as a result, especially through the law of karma and vibration, that the victim attracts the energy of victimhood. So the victim attracts rescuers, and the victim attracts perpetrators, because the frequency of the victim goes out as a vibration, like attracts like, and it is actually experienced for the victim that they need the energy of the rescuer or the persecutor, or even collective victim consciousness, where there is victims and victims and victims. So this force of victim nature is not only in us anyway as a potential archetype, because we have it, then it can be fueled by many different things that take place in human existence that feed that victimhood pathway or pathways. And then the next thing we know, we are in it and living in it. And I see it all the time that, oh, poor such and such, she has such a hard time. And oh, my poor sister, or oh, my poor mom. And we do it often without thinking about it. We put people into victim consciousness through our language, and we allow them to stay there because we keep rescuing them and doing things for them, and not allowing them to fully step into that true realm of empowerment, where they come out of the triangle. You know what? No, I'm not a victim. I'm going to actually be strengthened by my trauma. I'm going to champion myself through what's happened to me. I'm going to use this as a catalyst for growth instead of using it to stay stuck. The persecutor doesn't choose to be a persecutory person. There can be a problem in the wiring. There can be an energetic imbalance, a mismatch of energetic flows, learned behaviors, ancestral stuff, past life stuff, learning, that we've had from people that are around us. And often there is a defense mechanism. So that persecutor has often had to learn to defend themselves. So when they've learned to defend themselves, that's the way they've learned to defend themselves, is by becoming persecutory. They are scared. They are fearful. There's often trauma associated with massive fear and loss of control. And these perpetrators and persecutors often, I'm not saying always, are often just acting out on their trauma. There's a belief system: if I can control everything around me, then I'm safe. The way that I can control everything around me is by attacking, telling people how I want it to be, being persecutory, bullying. Now, there is many different ways in which people act out the persecutor, narcissistic behavior and in lots of personality disorders and all sorts of different things. However, we're not excusing it. We are just saying that there are reasons that people end up in persecutory frequencies. They often don't feel safe. Okay, so if we are a compassionate being, we can work on that with those human beings and create safety and create different ways of communicating, introduce different scenarios that don't manipulate the outcome or try to control it, which is what often a persecutor is doing. They're trying to manipulate and control the outcome to have a result that they want that makes them feel safe. The rescuer. So the rescuer, again, it's not a choice that they go, I'm going to be a rescuer. I was always a dominant rescuer when I was younger. I'm 44 and I've been in my industry for 26 years. And I think knowing that I felt like a rescuer often was something that was a catalyst for me to want to learn more about it and express and expand and to learn how to get out of that triangle. Because the rescuer is often struggling with self-esteem and self-worth and feeling seen and feeling like they can freely express themselves. So when they rescue others, they care And also it gives them some kind of ego boost or a boost of self-esteem when they temporarily fix the problems of others or make someone else feel better or do things for others that is inappropriate for them to be doing. If we want others to step out of victim and persecutory roles, we can't play rescuer to them all the time. It's as simple as that. It's like just giving your energy away. Just saying, okay, yeah, you know, I don't need this energy of mine. You have it. But we do need that energy of ours. That's what it's there for. It's ours to use. And so when we rescue, we're giving this, oh, I'll do that for you. I will take that responsibility. And we get very, very depleted very, very quickly because we've got our own energy supplies and we need to have a full cup from which we give to others. Rescuer never gets a full cup because they are always running on empty. They don't have enough to give. They choose to give it to everyone else, but they never prioritize giving it to the self when we need to give to ourselves first. We must pull that oxygen mask down first on the airplane so we can serve others. And it's the same with the rescuer energy. We must take care of ourselves first. Otherwise, we are not productive for others. We're not useful. We can't help others because we don't have enough fuel. So the rescuer, is often in that place of burnout. They're depleted. They're anxious, they're worried, they're unhealthy, they're not eating well, they're not taking care of themselves. They haven't done anything for themselves for 25 years because they've been doing everything for the children, that type. So the rescuer energy is one of those that is like, chipping away at your life force quite aggressively because we must learn to give to ourselves first. Now, the danger of these three energies is that they often play together. So many people relate with each other in that triangle. So when we are dominant as a rescuer, we will make connections as a rescuer. We will meet people as a rescuer, and they will learn our energy and read us as a rescuer and connect to us because that's who we are. That means they're going to take us for granted often. They're going to take from us. They're going to deplete us. They're going to drain our energy. There's going to be a mix match of vibrational frequencies that don't align because the intention can be coming from that victim space or that persecutor space. The intention can be, oh, I can take from this person. And it's not always that clear cut. It can be quite psychological, so there's not an awareness of it. A victim can just magnetically be attracted to the rescuer. Persecutor can just magnetically be attracted to the rescuer. So it's not always a really obvious, oh, I'm going to do that. But often it is. It is that person. I'm going to get some stuff from that person. The rescuer, I'll give an example of an experience of me receiving this in my early years of becoming a therapist, coach, trainer, and support person in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual realms, would be that people would want to connect with me over lunch. This is going back 20-something years, over lunch or over coffee as a friend. But then all they actually wanted to do was to get free professional information from me. So their intention was to get my skills to support themselves, but to not pay for that. Their intention was to create the connection with me as a friend, knowing that I had really valuable tools and really amazing information that would support them. But they would come at me with friendship. And suddenly I would feel like, this feels like a counseling session. This feels like a coaching session. This feels like a training session. And then I would realize quite quickly, oh gosh, okay, because of my rescuer energy here, I'm trying to give them what they need, but actually this is professional. So this needs to be a session and then I need to be paid for this because this is what I do for a job. And it's not the same as when a friend says, okay, can I have a bit of advice or a bit of support? That's very different because I can then choose from an empowered place. Yeah, I can do that. Or Actually, no, you need to book a session in for that. There's a permission piece that is there. But when someone is doing it with a different intention of hiding it, then it's a really common way of rescuers being exploited. So then what do? Do I blame that person? No, because then I'm going to go into victimhood. Oh, why is she doing that? Or why does she do that every time I catch up with her? Why does it have to be this way? Poor me. Or I can go into persecutor. Oh God, I'm so annoyed that she keeps asking me blah, 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 blah. No, I need to step out of the dynamic of rescuer. A boundary needs to go in place. That's what needs to happen. That's going to empower me, and it's also going to empower her, even if she doesn't know it yet. Because if I put a boundary in place, actually, you know what? I'm not going to be able to give this information to you because this is actually a professional session. But you know what? You can book in with me. If you book in with me, I can give you all this information in a session. You know, that would be an empowering move for me. I would step out of the triangle. They might have a bit of a reaction, but ultimately, the planted seed would activate within them at some point, whether it's now or later, that they see, oh, okay, yeah, that's not right for me to do that. I'm crossing a boundary. So then ultimately they will step out of the triangle as well. The victim. So the victim, when the victim is enabled, so the victim stays in this state of victimhood. Everybody treats them like a victim. They are never going to rise. They will never have a high frequency. They will never step out of harmful patterns. They will keep attracting the same detrimental relationships, opportunities, and situations. They will stay in this place of victim consciousness forever if we keep enabling it. So we must step out of the triangle to enable them to do the same. So if a victim is in victim consciousness, they're in to me consciousness. It's a very low, dense frequency. They believe that everything is happening to them, and often they believe they're safer there. You know, I don't need to step up because everyone's going to do everything for me. If I keep using this behavior, then people will keep giving me money and supporting me and taking care of me and doing these things for me. So if we are relating to that, you know, maybe you play the victim out yourself. Maybe you play the victim out in ways that are, you know, really obvious. Oh, yeah, no, that's too hard. I can't do that. It's too much or whatever. Or maybe it's less. You just live in it silently, or maybe it's a manipulation tool, whatever it is. If you're recognizing it, you must step out of it because you are not a victim. You are not a victim. You can choose to be empowered by the things that have happened in your life and do the work, or you can choose to be disempowered by them and play the victim. The victim will only ever stay in these dynamics of harmful relationships. So at some point, the victim needs to evolve into a place, into a catalyst, into a spark of energy that takes them out. The persecutor is very difficult to be around. The persecutor is attacking. The persecutor is often not comfortable in their own skin. They're not feeling safe. They're not feeling supported. They may have had detrimental trauma that has pushed them into various different frequencies, but the persecutor wants to attack. And who best to choose to attack? Definitely the victim. Great, because the victim's so easy to attack. Just lies there, takes it. Or definitely the rescuer, because the rescuer is going to do things for me whilst I attack. You know, so the perpetrator or the persecutor is that energy of, okay, this is not good for me. Whether we're in it or whether we are, you know, behaving that way, we need to recognize that there is another way. There is a more evolved way to communicate. There is a higher frequency to connect to. We can still be assertive and state our needs and boundaries, but we can do it compassionately. The persecutor blames outwardly. You're doing this. They're doing that. How could you do that to me? You're a bad person. The persecutor blames outwardly. Whereas if we really want to be powerful, we need to step into boundaries that come from us. This is not okay for me. So I am going to move myself out of this situation. I have decided that I am not okay with this behavior. So I will be leaving this relationship. I have decided I am taking responsibility. I realize that I haven't been responsible in this area in the past, and I've allowed this consciousness to be part of my existence. I am now moving away from it. It's all about boundaries. Persecutors, rescuers, and victims are not choosing to be in harmful dynamics. They are ingrained. How do we get out of it? To get out of the triangle, we must practice opposite behaviors and not just jump into another corner. The victim needs to practice being empowered instead of being disempowered. The victim needs to stop using stories and defining themselves by those stories and choosing to stay stuck. The victim needs to step into power and activate frequencies within themselves where they are really believing in their capacity and self-worth. The victim needs to work with a coach, with a healer, with a guide, with an energy worker, with a counselor. The victim needs to do the work and step up and really acknowledge, oh my gosh, I'm dominated by victim behavior. What do I need to do to get out of that? The rescuer needs to learn to protect their own power and take care of themselves first. To have a full cup means they might be able to support others. The rescuer needs to learn they're not helping others. We cannot help others. We can facilitate them to help themselves. The rescuer must learn that. It's the difference between, oh, I know, I've got this really good doctor. I'm going to book you in with that doctor. I'm going to make an appointment. I'm going to come around and pick you up and I'm going to take you there. And this friend doesn't really want that. All right. But what about this? You know what? I can see that you're going through some things and I've heard about this doctor. That's his name. And there's a piece of paper. If it resonates with you, maybe reach out to them. You're facilitating that person to help themselves rather than believing you can help them. When you believe you can help them, you try to take responsibility for them. And when it doesn't work, you feel it as a smack in the face because they haven't done what you wanted them to do. Whereas if you separate from that sense of responsibility, you can empower people to make choices that are right for them. And another beautiful piece for rescuers to learn is create scenarios for people. Don't give them advice. Don't give them advice. Somebody even asks for advice. Just say, oh, well, there's a few options, or, what about these different scenarios? What feels right for you? Empower them to make a choice that is theirs, because if they don't make that choice that is theirs, then they are literally like sheep just following the herd. The persecutor, the perpetrator, needs to rein it back into a place of compassion and love. And this often stems from needing to learn to love oneself more. Being comfortable in our own skin and creating self-sufficiency and safety. This is really key to meditation and energy healing and coaching and support systems. We must reach out for that so that we can learn, acknowledge that there are behaviors of perpetrator or persecutor there that we really want to transmute. We want to transmute those things into some other form. And I think the first piece for that is setting boundaries. All of those people need to set boundaries for themselves and then begin to work with them. Now, if you want to learn more about boundaries, if you want to learn more about the triangle, and if you want to learn more about the human pillars of existence, these are foundational principles that humans can learn so they can thrive in life and learn their best life, then you can join my mastermind. And my mastermind is now going to magically appear on your screen. My mastermind is a 7-month journey. It is 7 pillars, one each month, where we, as a collective of women, come together to embody and learn frequencies such as compassion, authenticity, integrity, boundaries, all of these things. We learn about them physically and theoretically, and then we actually receive quantum upgrades and light codes and beautiful energetic healings that allow us to embody the frequencies of these pillars so that we can live our best life. In this mastermind, we will be challenged to grow and ascend into the most potent, powerful, dynamic force of who we really are. We will transcend all of the negative behaviors and patterns and detrimental imbalances and blockages. We will transcend into higher frequencies that allow us to live the best possible life we can. These masterminds are designed to change your life, and you can be part of it. The next mastermind begins in February and is going to be absolutely epic. They always are. It is not only powerful, transformational, absolutely soul affirming program, it is also a collective of amazing human beings that you get to grow with and share with. I have been doing the work that I do successfully for 26 years. I have written and published 4 books. I have run program after program after training, and the wisdom that I want to share with you is so profound in being the most magnetic, powerful, potent, and high vibrational version of yourself that you can possibly be. So please hit me up if you are keen to learn more. For now, practice staying out of the triangle. Get your pen and paper out. Notice your behaviors and patterns. Notice when you're dominant. Write down when you step into these behaviors in your life. Reflect on them. Stick a picture of a triangle up on your fridge, on your bedside, all over your house. Draw persecute, a rescue, a victim, and then draw yourself as a stick person over here and remind yourself that in all of your communication, all of your action, all of your thought, all of your speech, you must be out of the triangle. You must not rescue others. You must not play victim to others, and you must not persecute others. Only then can you create the energetic flow in your body to manifest great things and to be prosperous, abundant, and flowing with the laws of the universe and with the human pillars of existence. Thank you so much for listening to me. It has been an absolute pleasure. As always, I love to hear from you. Do reach out. If you want to step into the mastermind with a group of powerful women, hit me up and let's talk about that opportunity. Thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure. And thank you again to the Spiritual Growth Forum for having me back. Goodbye.